Well, Dirk, our intrepid Ryan Day,
Ah, yes.
he tackles the most difficult challenges.
This was a tough one.
This is a hard one.
We sometimes you got to send your people into the lion's den.
And I would never send somebody in to do a job I wouldn't do myself.
Well, that is true.
In this case,
because that's the kind of manager you are.
That's the kind of manager I am. Well, he finally found a topic that he could really sink his taste buds into this week in Quality Digest. That's right. I'm talking about the greatest nutritional beverage ever created by man, beer.
I like beer.
You can live on a desert island a lot longer on beer than you can on soda.
Or water, just plain water. Just think you're getting hydration and calories at the same time.
And all your basic needs.
And also, if you drink it, if you just don't worry about it.
I'm gonna just keep drinking this beer until I'm rescued.
I can be here forever.
Or not. Well, in his article, Quality Control in the Home Brewing Vertical.
Only Ryan.
There it is, which ran in Tuesday's issue of Quality Digest. Ryan investigates one of the fastest growing segments of the food and beverage industry, namely microbrewing. In some case, microbrewing.
Yeah.
I mean, really tiny little brewers doing their work out there for the good of society. This piece formed in Ryan's mind after he received an invitation to an American Home Brewers Association event right here in our little hometown of Chico, California. It was actually a home brewer rally being held at perhaps Chico's most famous institution, Sierra Nevada.
There you
Brewery.
go.
Most
right
of
down
you
the
out
street.
there probably know that, not far from us right here. We just were there not long ago, last week.
Yep.
We took Mike there after the show last week.
We took a lot of people there.
We took Mike McLean there after the show last week. Well, Ryan conducted an interview at the event with Matt Bowling of the AHA, and he learned some pretty interesting things about how to home brew effectively. The two most important factors apparently are sanitation and regular sampling. We all know about that, test sampling, right? By which, of course, he means, in this case, tasting. Apparently, you need to really develop a sensitive palate to take this up as a hobby that might conceivably, eventually, maybe turn into a business. Many home brewers have launched eventually some microbreweries. What struck Ryan and struck me when I read his report was how serious and precise this process really is. For major industrial-sized breweries like Sierra Nevada, let's be honest, they left their microbrewery.
Yeah, they're not so much.
They're not a microbrewery anymore. They left their microbrewery status behind many years ago. But for anybody really in this industry, consistency is everything, and quality control it really isn't an option.
And I'm going to interrupt here just a little bit. This is kind of the crux of the article. Is no matter what you're doing, if it's a process, it's consistency and quality. If you can't be consistent, then your product, even if it's beer, is going to be great one day and maybe not so great the next.
That's exactly right. And that's actually exactly what I was going to say. Generally, consistency is where it's at. If you're if you're a brewer, a microbrewer, or an industrial brewer, you ship millions of bottles across the world every month, right? So you have to achieve just what you were saying, reliability and consistency. And it comes down to habits. I think that the quality professionals know really all too well. You set up your process, you obtain data, you test the results, and you implement improvements. PDCA, right? There it is. That's what it is, plain and simple. Well, what this story shows, I think, is that the tenets of quality are applicable to pretty much any type of activity, just as Dirk was saying. If you want to do something well, you really have to consider that thing, whatever it is, as a series of processes and procedures that are predictable and repeatable. Creative pursuits like songwriting or painting or cooking can be done without this level of planning, but the results are likely to be kind of haphazard. You may not really get very reliable results. It might be great one day, it might not be so great the next. And maybe that's okay if you're just cooking a meal for yourself or your spouse, or if you're painting a landscape just for your own enjoyment, that might be fine. But when you're serious about doing something and you want to share it with a large group of people, you pretty much have to approach it with a quality mindset so that you can deliver it consistently time in and time out. Think about it, Dirk. If you're a home brewer and you're looking to make a nice golden lager of 5% alcohol by volume and maybe 15 international bitter units, right? It's a nice light beer, right?
Yep.
And you end up with some stoutish thing that's like 10% ABV and 80 IBUs, and you're going to drink that thing expecting a nice light lager. You're going to be rather surprised, and your friends aren't going to be too happy either. A great output only happens when you have the right inputs and control, and you control them obviously through the process. And that's true for food or beverages, that's true for pharmaceuticals, it's true for fabricated metals, it's true for just about everything and anything. Especially beer.
Especially beer.
Especially beer, you know? I mean, you need to have that beer, man, and it needs to be right.
And beer goes well with food, which is...
pairing.
I have several relatives and friends who are chefs, some of them pretty high up there. And they said, you know, once it gets down to, I mean, you don't think about this, but they said the kitchen is a production line.
Sure.
He says, and when you develop something on the menu, it has to taste the same every single time. So your line cooks and all that, it's like, this is how long you cook this piece of meat, this is what you put on it, this is how whatever is dressed. I mean, this is it's a production line. Yeah. I mean, there's creativity when it comes into the initial design of the dish, but after that, you know, he says the kitchen line is a production line.
Just roll it
boom,
out.
boom, boom, and it's got to be the same every single time it comes out.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, you think about large chains. I mean, not that McDonald's is fine food, but my brother worked for McDonald's for many years as a manager, and he trained in Hamburger U, and it's like, yes, it's a very, very precise process. That's why your Big Mac tastes the same.
No matter where you get it.
Where you go, that's right. Amazing.
All right.